Great, thank you. Thanks for having me. Hope you can all hear me. Um, so I'm gonna take you through a quick aviation worker view of what a future for Great British aviation could look like. A little bit about me. My name's Finlay Asher. I'm based in Scotland. I'm the co-founder of Safe Landing, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm an aerospace engineer by training, and I used to work at Rolls-Royce in aircraft engine design with a focus on future technology. A bit about Safe Landing. We're a global community of aviation workers, students, and enthusiasts. Our group includes pilots, cabin crew, air traffic controllers, aerospace engineers like me, airport and airline workers. Our vision is that we want to live in a world where aviation can flourish in harmony with nature and the beauty of flying can be enjoyed by all for generations to come. So we love flying. We feel really proud to work in this sector and operate it, but we want that to be in harmony with nature, and we want to be able to pass the beauty of flying on to our children. So with that in mind, I think it's really important we take a critical look at the Jet Zero strategy for the UK. So my quick assessment of some of the problems that we see with this as a community. Firstly, the focus on large airport expansion. Next, the reliance on so-called sustainable aviation fuel. And just fundamentally, the fact this is slow, inefficient, and expensive. So focus on large airport expansion first, recognizing that Matt and Heathrow are on this call. I'm sure there's different opinions. Our opinion on this is, fundamentally it's slow. It'll take decades to expand this airport. Heathrow, Gatwick, Luton, you're looking at next decade before you get that airport opening. Expensive. Heathrow, think it will cost about 50 billion, probably 70 billion, combining everything else around the airport. Clearly massively expensive. High risk. If you look at what's going to be the regulatory environment in the late 2030s, 2040, there'll be strict carbon budgets, higher carbon pricing, much higher SAF mandates or carbon capture mandates. All of that means that projected air traffic demand for that long haul market may very well likely not materialize, creating severe financial shocks for our industry with big impacts clearly to workers. We think this is the wrong infrastructure. Such airports are not well suited to the smaller, shorter range zero emissions aircraft that we're really excited about. When it comes to sustainable aviation fuel, again, this is a really slow process, taking decades to scale. Very expensive. The cheapest is 3 times the cost of jet fuel. More expensive e-fuels, 8 to 10 times the cost. Inefficient, as you can see from the graph on the left. We've got a finite amount of low carbon resources, sustainable biomass, and renewable electricity. You get far higher carbon savings per pound spent by the government and per unit of energy generated if you simply use that resource for something else. This is as shown by the AIA who presented earlier. So grid decarbonisation, ground transport, home heating, industrial decarbonisation, all of these things are more efficient. Also very high risk. A lot of the SAF produced today, majority of the 2% that's currently produced is used cooking oil from Southeast Asia. Severe scalability issues, sustainability issues. Other fuel pathways are relatively undeveloped, far more expensive and inefficient to produce. So that's enough about the problems. You want to hear about the solutions. So what do we propose? Firstly, environmental policies, then non-CO2 mitigation, and then zero emissions and hybrid flight. The first, environmental policies, we've got carbon budgets, carbon pricing, and support for more effective environmental action. So carbon budgets, I've mentioned this already. We think we should have carbon budget for UK aviation, subdivide that by airports, give stricter budgets to private jet airports. Carbon pricing, higher versus other sectors, ensure that we properly price international aviation emissions. We don't do that under CORSIA, and higher pricing for more polluting flights, private jets, and long haul premium. Non-CO2 mitigation is important. We think that finance from aviation should be used to decarbonize other sectors. And we think the SAF mandate should be replaced with an aviation net zero mandate, as advised by Alan Whitehead in his recent GGR report. And then we think we should support zero carbon and hybrid powered flight. On contrails, I'm going to skip through that just in the interest of time. Air pollution is something that's really important to workers, though, and we can do more in terms of airline and airport operations, and immediately we could use lower sulfur and aromatic fossil jet fuel. That will reduce air pollution for workers and communities. NOx as well, I'll skip through that. So on zero emissions flight, we would like to see the pollution controls I just discussed. Those will generate a clear market for low carbon flight technologies. Pioneer airports, be really specific, select a few that make a lot of sense and provide support there. Focus on underutilized regional and private jet airports rather than large long haul hubs. An innovation fund, we'd like to see finance redirected from SAF towards zero emissions flight. Ring fence funding for small startups so the large incumbent aerospace manufacturers don't get all of it, and have a clear industrial strategy that supports the skills and the supply chain scale up here. So a bit of a focus on zero emissions flight. It's quicker, it's cheaper, lower risk, lower carbon, lower community noise, better air quality, which is a massive for workers who are more exposed than anybody else, and it supports innovation in the UK. It will benefit people's lives. You'll be closer to somewhere that you can travel from. It will be quieter for communities, and it will be cleaner for communities and for workers. Economic benefits, if we put these policies in place, we will trigger demand for airlines for these aircraft. That will trigger manufacturing. If we use emissions pricing to support R&D, we can accelerate the technology development, again, creating jobs. We'll then get benefits in the supply chain. That will have knock-on benefits elsewhere in the economy. Now, it's not just about UK flights. There's a much bigger prize to be had. North America, the Caribbean, Europe, particularly Greece, Scandinavia, and Southeast Asia, that's the fastest growing aviation market and has lots of islands. If you think about Philippines, Indonesia, the Caribbean, this is a perfect place for these flights, and we can export to those places. The UK is really well placed for this. We've got our island geography, we've got flights to Ireland, Western Europe, we've got our UK aerospace expertise, and this is how we can position ourselves as a global leader in a technology that is the future and will create lots of jobs and economic opportunity. Just final thing, there was a mention about the Jet Zero strategy getting updated next year. Our proposal is to use both citizens' assemblies and workers' assemblies to include the voice of workers that understand our sector better than anybody else. So we're really keen to advocate for those as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Finlay.